أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه وله وبعد. All praises due to Allah. May Allah's peace and blessings be upon His beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Inshallah, today we talk about family as a resilience in the foundation of family. Before that, we wrapping up the previous subject, which is the emotional intelligence. We talked about emotional intelligence. It has four main components, which is the self-awareness and then development, and social awareness and then development of relationships. Today's topic is a continuation of that, and that's why I'm starting with wrapping up the previous topic. So, talked about self-awareness, and our person should be self-aware and observing their own habits and their own emotions and their own thoughts, and based on that they will develop themselves and how they act and interact and react to everything around them, with everything around them. And then you have social awareness. You see what is the impact of your actions on others and what is the impact of others on you. Just generally, you observe that, the observation of that, and then you have empathy for people. You are aware of their thoughts, and you have empathy with them, and then you start analyzing the situation, and then you see what you need to do accordingly, and you work on your relationship. And subhanAllah, in Islam, in the Quran, and the Sunnah of Rasulullah, we see these four components clearly. It's always talking to us about being aware of ourselves before we talk about others, and analyze ourselves, and work on our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and observe how we do. And يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله, you who believe, have piety and righteousness to Allah. ولتنظر نفس ما قدمت لغد واتقوا الله إن الله خبير بما تعملون. Or you who believe, have piety and righteousness to your Lord, and see what you have saved for tomorrow. What have you done for tomorrow? For yourself. So you are aware of yourself. You are developing yourself by seeing what you need to do and all of that. And then your relationship, and the best relationship is your relationship with Allah Azza wa Jalla. So you see what you did, preparing for tomorrow, which is the hereafter, and so on. Our relationship also with our parents, and the Quran spoke about that. Our relationship with our children, Allah Azza wa Jalla spoke about that. Our relationship with our families, Allah Azza wa Jalla spoke about that. يا أيها الذين آمنوا, you who believe, قوا أنفسكم وأهليكم نارا وقودها الناس والحجارة عليها ملائكة غلاظ شداد لا يعصون الله ما أمرهم ويفعلون ما يؤمرون. You who believe, save yourselves and your families from the fire of hell, the fuel of which is stones, and the fuel of which is men, people, mankind. Guarding such fire are angels who are very harsh and hard and strong. They never disobey Allah Azza wa Jal, whatever He orders them, and they always do and surrender to the order of Allah. Working on our relationship with our friends and our enemies, working on our relationship at times of peace and at times of war, calamities, and acting with people who oppose us, and giving da'wah to others. SubhanAllah, the Quran spoke about emotional intelligence from beginning to end. If you were to read it or recite it with those lenses and from that perspective, you will see amazingly that how all these theories and all what we study is actually the style how Quran presents itself to those who seek guidance. That's why, having the Muslim family always is the goal of building the society. Because once you build the individual who fears Allah Azza wa Jal, who knows that Allah is the creator, who knows that me and you here as individuals are created to worship Allah Azza wa Jal and worship Him alone, then I know what is the next step. The next step is to continue that on this earth until Allah Azza wa Jal orders this earth to cease to exist. And how I do that? Through procreation. How through procreation to have more people. How should I have more people having more children? How can I have more children? Allah created the female and Allah created the male. So I am the male. I think that Allah created a female. So through which me and her will reproduce. I'm giving it from the basic physical principle. For that to happen, Allah Azza wa Jal guarded it with do's and don'ts. So this male and female cannot physically unite and cannot physically fulfill that, which is the procreation, to continue worshiping Allah Azza wa Jal and continue that legacy. Allah Azza wa Jal instilled in each one of us is lust or desire that drive us to be attracted toward each other, the male and the female, desiring each other physically. Basic instinct, subhanAllah, that male and female are attracted to each other. This is the default. So Allah put that physical attraction there. And at the same time, Allah Azza wa Jal put feelings to guard that physical attraction. So we become, we become selective. What I like is not necessarily what another person likes. And you as a woman, as a female, what you like is not exactly what the other person sitting next to you likes. So it becomes a selective process. That's the feeling part. Even in animals, subhanAllah. There is ghariza or instinct, physical desire to having this attraction, physical attraction, to have a relationship, physical relationship. So Allah Azza wa Jalla created also feelings, so it becomes selective. It is not happening with anyone at any time for anyhow. No, there are feelings there, emotions there. Then for guarding that to function, I want you to listen to this lecture again and again, by the way, because it's very important, this process of thinking. We teach it our children even. So now I have that physical attraction, and my emotions already narrowed it down and it became very selective. That's exactly what I want, what I'm desiring. It's just not necessarily everybody's. So I am a man, I'm a male, and there is a woman, there is a female, and this attraction is there. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as our creator, we believe in him. He give us certain standard or certain mode of operation in this regard. So you cannot have that attraction towards your mother. You cannot have attraction towards your father. If you are female, you cannot have attraction with your sister, with your daughter, or with your son, with your brother. So now you excluded a lot, because now there's a male and a female, but that physical attraction and that emotional attraction, it is going to become exclusive of certain opposite gender, members of the opposite gender. So now you eliminated a lot, many. And then it comes even more by how. So after excluding who, and then, every other person who is not your mahram or your blood in a certain way or a certain level, becomes a fair game, a fair open target. That means still it is huge. So I find that I'm attracted physically to lots of members of the opposite sex, and I'm emotionally there, my emotions guiding me, and then, I'm being selective now. So comes the religion and says, for you to look at the other gender or the other sex or the woman in my case, you have to lower your gaze and you cannot be alone with another woman. And if you seek another woman in this relationship, it has to be through marriage. And marriage has a process, which is like engagement and all of that. And there are do's and don'ts. So now everything is narrowed down. So this physical attraction, which is it's basic instinct, it is guarded by emotions. Now it is guided toward certain members or a certain group that only me get attracted to, like I'm attracted to that. So a person in Africa is attracted to the opposite sex in a certain way, different from people in America, different from people in a village, but different from people who are young, people who are old, people who are retired, people who are youth, people who are, it's different. Then, once the focus is there, then our religion of Islam, for example, telling us, so there is a universal code saying that you cannot rape someone, that you cannot attack somebody, that you cannot invade the privacy of someone. And there is certain ways to approach that person, regardless of religion. Then, this will exclude all this kind of violation of other person's freedom and other person's sanctity, but remains many things that not necessarily God is pleased with. So you have boyfriends and girlfriends and people are having consensual physical relation and all of that, but it's not right. Then religion narrows it down. So everybody who have a religion, they have certain process or rituals. Then you come to the people who are Muslims, it narrows it down even more. And those who are practicing that religion, it narrows it down even more. And people who want to be fair in that relationship and find somebody that they actually love or they like, or someone who's a good candidate to be a parent, father and a mother for future children, all that narrows it down. And those who fear Allah Azza wa Jal and they intend good with marriage, it narrows it even down. So subhanAllah, it's amazing, isn't it? It is amazing how Allah Azza wa Jal created us, how we function in this world. You find a person who is closer to Allah, always focused. So whenever their lust or their emotions drive them, they lower their gaze. They are not alone with a woman that they're not supposed to be, or a man. In the case of the woman that they're not supposed to be, when they talk, if they're interested in someone, there is certain procedure and process they have to follow. And once they succeed and they get married, there is a certain process and procedure they have to follow to deal with each other and maintain each other. There are things that not to violate and all of that. So once all of this is fulfilled on the level of the individual, now, there is how you establish a family now. So this attraction served its purpose. And you find your mate or your partner or whoever you want to call, the husband, they're together now. I'm talking in general, in a human sense now. So you find that person, then you are a Muslim. So you are going through the process, that only halal way is marriage. You succeeded in that marriage. So what is in your head now? Both of us here want to please Allah. How we please Allah? By what we talked about earlier, procreation. And Allah give us the love and attraction to each other and, comfort and rahmah and mawaddah and love. And we are all over each other. We are attracted to each other. We love each other to do what? To fulfill their purpose. So now we're going to establish something called a family. So it is beyond me as an individual and you as an individual. So now I'm thinking alone, but for myself when I'm a single person, single. And when I got married, now I'm thinking as a husband. And you're thinking as a wife for the woman. When we have a child, now we're thinking as a husband and a wife, plus being a father and a mother. And the child thinking as a child, a son or a daughter, but at the same time, they are thinking as a son or as a daughter for someone, like as a brother and a sister of each other. and later as husband and wife, and later as a father and mother, and later as a grandfather and a grandmother, or I'm an uncle, or I'm a nephew, or I'm a niece, or I'm a cousin. So there is always identification plus you as an individual. There is an identification that you belong to someone or someone belongs to you, or you have a relationship with someone. You identify as that. It's amazing, like how this materialistic culture make us forget that basic existing, basic relationship, basic, identification of existence is I'm in a relationship. Whether you like it or not, you are in a relationship. You're in a relationship with Allah Azza wa Jal. You're in a relationship with the Book of Allah. Yeah, we understand that. But you are always in a relationship. When you drive your car, you're in a relationship of like or dislike. It doesn't matter, but there is a relationship. You have to deal with other people. You're not alone by yourself. There is a relationship. Unless you're on an island by yourself, there is a relationship also with people who are not there. You are happy that you're away from them, or you're wishing to be saved and be with them. So still you're in a relationship. The minute you are on this earth, you are in a relationship with another human being. And that relationship, not necessarily they are with you, but there is a relationship. You relate to others. You identify yourself relating to others. Who am I toward others? Even when a person seeking independence, when a child seeking independence from who? From their parents. That's a relationship right there. And you are going to end up dealing with others to prove that independence. So you're going to go to another relationship to prove or validate your independence from another relationship. I'm divorced. From who? From another human being. Who's that other human being? The mother of my children. So there is a relationship. She has a relationship with the children. She has a relationship with me. I have a relationship with her. No matter what we do, there is a relationship of love or hate or like or dislike or admiration or loathsome or whatever you call it. Hatred. There's a relationship. And then I wanted to prove that I'm successful, so I have another relationship. So basically, when Allah talking about family, He's telling us how that relationship should be. And because in a way or another, you have a relationship. So you better have a relationship that you're responsible about, you're part of, you're maintaining, you're rewarded for it. You'll be accountable for it, the day of judgment, and so on. So this is very important understanding. That's why I'm telling you, I want you to go back and listen to this session from the beginning again, because it connects everything emotionally and physically and spiritually. You are a person alone. You are a set of physical functioning parts and a set of emotions. They lead you to be attracted to the other. The other have certain characteristics that completes you or to fulfill your needs, while you have certain characteristics that fulfill their needs. Okay, now we are attracted to each other. What we should do, then there's a process to be together physically and emotionally and spiritually. So why all of that? To fulfill the cause Allah created us for, which is to worship Him. How are we going to do that? That, as long as we're continuing, so Allah put in us in those instincts, so we can have children who continue worshiping Allah until Allah says, that's it. This is time for worship's over now. It's time for accountability, which is the day of judgment. So we continue doing that. And how to continue doing that, there are do's and don'ts, and become selective until you narrow it down to what benefits you and fulfill the purpose. So now I'm having what is called another human being in my life that I'm thinking in relation to, thinking about. And I am identified through them and they are identified through me. That's what's called a family, the closest type of relationship. Because your relationship with everybody else, somehow, somewhere, for some reason, maybe people you have a relationship for 1 second, you come across, that's it. You don't even pay attention to them, but they are human beings, they are people. They affect your life, but there is no direct relationship. So Allah give us this nucleus, which is a family. And then, families beside each other, making a society or a community, then the community of humans. And Allah is above all of us. Allah, when He said, "Oh, you who believe, save yourselves and your family," that is the individual and that's the family. And if every family does that, that is a society right there. That's the world right there. And how you save yourself from the fire of hell. Where is that fire of hell? It's in the hereafter. What is that hereafter? After your death. So Allah is talking to us about something that will happen after our death. We're still alive. That means our life is affecting what's going to happen after death. So that means this life is temporary, is transient. It is here to pave the way for what happens later. So later is the most important thing. So all of this is to be ready for that day. So what we're doing now will judge that day. So now I know when Allah says save yourself and families from far of hell means see how you behave here. And means you have to have a family, ahl, to save them. Because Allah says yourself and your family. So who's my family? The family that I belong to. My father, my mother, my children, all of that. My spouse, my children, my grandchildren. So that is the meaning. That means there is a set of things. So how I'm going to do that? Here comes the worship and the business transactions and the morals and the conduct and the behavior. It's amazing, isn't it? So it's a whole system, you know. And if you don't want to get lost, then worship Allah. It's very simple. Then He will give you the code of conduct. He will give you the manual. He'll give you the constitution. He'll give you the modus operandi, the mode of operation. He will tell you exactly what you need to do. That's why Allah says to Adam alayhi salam, when he disobeyed Allah and Allah told him to descend, told the shaitan and Adam and Eve to descend. He said, now you descend to earth. Each one of you is enemy to the other. And the shaitan and his offspring and Adam and his offspring, you are enemies to each other. بعضكم لبعض عدو. Enemies to each other. فإما يأتينكم مني هدى, when the guidance comes from me to you, فمن اتبع هداي فلا يضل ولا يشقى. The one who chooses to follow my guidance will never go astray. Here is the key word for you. You don't want to be lost in this world. You want to know how to fulfill your ubudiyya to Allah, slavery to Allah. You want to be a family. You want to procreate. You want to do it. Then you follow the order of Allah, the way of Allah, according to the definition of Allah, according to the constitution of Allah, according to the manual of Allah. And if you do that, فَلَا يَضِلُّ وَلَا يَشْقَى. You will not go astray and you will not be miserable in this dunya or in the hereafter. Because being astray in this dunya means misery in the hereafter. Misery also in the dunya. فَمَنِ اتَّبَعَ هُدَايَ فَلَا يَضِلُّ وَلَا يَشْقَى. Two things. You are not going to be miserable and you're not going to go astray. And misery, astray, they're attached. Across the board, you find people in the relationship, they're gonna stray and they're miserable. Why? Because the order of Allah is not fulfilled. But you see, we're talking about love and like it's like the order of Allah is not fulfilled. Why you live with someone that you don't love? Why you abuse someone? Why you live in an abusive relationship? Here you go. So always you will find that whoever having gone astray or having miserable experience is because they are away from the path of Allah. But how about the people who are in the path of Allah and they have cancer and they have problems? And who said that this is misery? This is a test and a trial. This is suffering and pain, but not necessarily misery. Misery can be with a person who has $1 billion, billions of dollars, but they're miserable. They're not satisfied. They don't have a God to worship. They are astray. Astray equals misery. We're not talking about what you have here or what you don't have. What you have or don't have there are means. A person can be in jail, can be tortured, but he's happy from inside that they never compromise their principle. There is a certain enjoyment and happiness and tasty feeling that, nobody can enslave my heart. That in itself is a win and a victory. They will die happy. And another person who feels that they own the world, they have everything that money can buy, but they are alone, they're lonely. They know that everybody around them is because of their money. Nobody loves them for whatever they are. What is the worth? What is all this worth? So that's what Allah means. But فَمَنِ اتَّبَعَ هُدَايَ فَلَا يَضِلُّ وَلَا يَشْقَى. The one who follows my guidance, that's it. You are going to be comfortable with this relationship with Allah Azza wa Jalla. No misery. It's difference between a person who has pain and a person who is miserable, right? وَمَنْ أَعْرَضَ عَنْ ذِكْرِي, and whoever will be heedless from my dhikr. أعرض, يعني he give his shoulders, or he give his back, turn, give the cold shoulder to, or turn their back to the dhikr of Allah, the way of Allah. فَإِنَّ لَهُ مَعِيشَةً ضَنْكَ, ضَنْكَ, tight living. Somebody said, look at this person who does not even believe in God. What are you talking about, Sheikh? معيشة ضنكا? This is his tight life. He has a yacht, and he's having jets, and he's having all these fans, and this man having all these women around, or this woman having all these men, like, making sujood to her, and they are under her feet, and they have billions of dollars and all of that. What are you talking about, معيشة ضنكا? A very tight life. Because you misunderstood. You always interpret, talking to that person who's understood, you are interpreting that happiness equals having wealth, having the means. Why these people commit suicide, for example? These people, there are items that all their money cannot purchase. Cannot purchase. They can wish for a life of a person living in a hut in Africa or in the Amazon, and they barely have clothes over their body, and they are having their children around them and laughing, and they are happy. They want to purchase that with all of that money, but they can't. This is not a commodity for sale. That is what we're talking about. معيشة ضنكا. Everyday people in itself, the idea in itself that everybody is seeing how can I grab some of his wealth, in itself is misery. Waking up every day, how can I fight the government, or how can I, people who wanted to assassinate me, or people who wanted to take my money, or people who hate me, just having that thought in itself is misery. I'm telling you, people who have all this money is not thinking about purchasing things. They think about owning things, owning people. You find that this person, billionaire, and the butler or the person who is serving them, having children who are successful in college, who's happy and everything, goes every night to his family and wonderful life in this small place. And he's not that happy. He has to provide on that level. He has to spend, he has hundreds of families to feed, and hundreds of people to be responsible about, and hundreds of things, that competition in this business and that business, and their life is fading in front of their eyes. If they don't believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they will have misery for sure. وَمَنْ أَعْرَضَ عَنْ ذِكْرِي, the one who turns away from my dhikr after the guidance came to them, فَإِنَّ لَهُ مَعِيشَةً ضَنْكَ, will have miserable life. وَنَحْشُرُهُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ أَعْمَى, and we will resurrect them in the day of judgment blind. قَالَ رَبِّ لِمَ حَشَرْتَنِي أَعْمَى وَقَدْ كُنْتُ بَصِيرًا. Ya Allah, why you resurrected me blind like this in the day of judgment, and I was able to see? Allah said, كَذَلِكَ أَتَتْكَ آيَاتُنَا فَنَسِيتَهَا وَكَذَلِكَ الْيَوْمَ تُنسَى. That's exactly when our signs and verses came to you, our guidance came to you, and you ignored it, and you forgot it, and you turned away from it. Today we ignore you, forget you, we turn away from you. So that is the summary of this topic from the beginning to the end. I want you to be aware of that. Who are you, where you came from, and how Allah created this law of attraction, physical, and sexual, and emotional, and how we utilize it, and be happy and proud of it, not hiding and stealing these emotions and going behind doors to do wrong things. No, we do it right, from the look, from the lowering of the gaze, from the touch, from the emotion, from the interaction, from all of that. We do it a certain way. Then once we have a family, there's a way to maintain it, and a way to think about it, and now you're not selfish, and you're not alone, and you're responsible about them, and each member of the family identify as part of that unit, and marriage is the institution to maintain that unit. Okay, and our main goal is a hereafter, to go as a unit to the pleasure of Allah and to Jannah. and everyone is responsible. Imagine if we all understand that, our children understand that, our spouses understand that. So nobody will say, oh, I am above or equal or this or inferior or superior or become rebellious or my parents is this, but it's very important. So that's what I'm saying. Let's analyze this speech until here. I'll stop here now. Let's analyze that and come up with some points that it would become like a guideline for our curriculums in the weekend school, our curriculums in our school, our curriculum at home, the way husband and wife remind each other of their task on this earth, in this world, the way that we raise our children with our love and care and passion, the way we care about each other. When we disagree, what should we do? Don't forget the goal hereafter, day of judgment. Don't forget the guidance of Allah. Don't forget the challenge when Iblis came down here behind Adam and Eve. Don't forget that. Don't forget that you are Adam and Eve, yeah? Trying to maintain that. You are their children. I'm their son. You are their daughter. And we are here as challenge to each other. But Shaitan is there trying to misguide us like he did to them. And when all of this are in our vision, in the way we look and perceive things, then I think we'll have more wisdom to handle everything else. This is what I wanted to mention as an introduction to the theme of this month. And inshallah, I did not want to say, like this is 1, 2, 3 and all that. I just wanted to give a perspective to this resilience, for maintaining the family and all of that. Inshallah, I'm open for your discussion and your comments.
Jazakallah khair, Dr. Mamdouh. It was once again a very inspiring topic and a lot of insight on how to keep that family preserved at an individual level and a community level.
Alhamdulillah. Sister Siti, inshallah, if you can, take this part only, and I don't know what you want to label it, but write, put it under a topic of some insight or like, purpose of existence or something like that. Purpose of our existence or how do we function. Just, listen to it and find the topic that, you feel it would be attractive and appealing. Post it, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Does anybody have a question or a comment in this regard? What is the topic for next month, Sister Maryam?
I'll tell you in a second. It is for next month, which is October. It is conflict resolution, and I believe in that month we are going to be talking a lot about what leads up to divorce, for example.
Right. But inshallah, in the beginning, I'm going to give a general idea like today about what's conflict, what creates conflict, right? And the importance of having a resolution. And every conflict you have to resolve it in a certain way. Otherwise, it will resolve itself in a way that not necessarily you'll like. So we'll talk about that, right? In our next session, inshallah. And then we will lead toward, divorce as an example. Because divorce is not the only conflict, right? And mediation, all that is not the only resolution. So there are different conflicts and they have to be resolved. So we'll lead into that, and then we'll have a workshop, inshallah, at the end, I think the beginning of the month, isn't it? Like in the 7th or something like that. We're going to have.
Yes, I believe it's on the October weekend.
So Wednesday, we are going to talk about conflict in general, and we'll lead into the workshop. And then the rest of the month, we'll talk about conflict between husband and wife, but we'll talk also about conflict with other family members and conflict in the workplace. Because I don't want conflicts to be narrowed down to only marriage and divorce, you know. It's much bigger than that. Because, you know, divorce is a result of a conflict, is a way to resolve a conflict between husband and wife. But what led to that conflict? Is it because they are husband and wife, or because there are two different personalities, or because they have two different intentions or two different goals? What led to that conflict? So this is an important aspect of it. So we'll talk about that next time, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair.
I have to leave early today, so inshallah, and if nobody have any comment or anything, I would like to depart, and then, you know, we'll see you next week, inshallah.
Inshallah, Jazakumullah khair. What about conflict between parents and children?
Yes, write that down. Please write that down, Sister Maryam, inshallah. Make a note of that and send it to me before next Wednesday. Said, you know, in conflict resolution, we would like to address point number 1, point number 2, point number 3 as examples of conflict.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll put that down.
Okay?
All right. Sounds good.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.